What if the mother who raised you wasn't your real mother? And the woman who gave you life never got the chance to hold you? What if the love you trusted your whole life was built on lies? And the truth could shatter everything you thought you knew about family, loyalty, and forgiveness. In a lively Asaba town, Grace Obiora and her wealthy husband, Chief Benson Obiora, live what appears to be the perfect life. After years of ridicule for her barrenness, Grace suddenly returns from the city with a baby boy, Daniel. To the outside world, Daniel is a miracle child, a sign of God's mercy. Neighbors envy her, church members praise her, and Chief Benson Obiora basks in respect. But beneath Grace's elegant smile hides a secret darker than night. As Daniel grows into a handsome, intelligent teenager, whispers followed him at festival, in markets, even at church. People gossip. That boy's story is not clean. Grace pretends not to hear, but her heart trembles each time the truth she buried years ago threatens to crawl out. One evening, an old woman appears at their compound gate. With cracked voice and piercing eyes, she pointed at Daniel. Blood cannot lie. That boy is not who you think he is. From that moment, Daniel's perfect world begins to unravel. Curiosity gnaws at him. One afternoon, while helping organize the study, Daniel notices a loose floorboard near his father's desk. He pries it open and finds a small dusty box tucked beneath. Inside are strange documents, an incomplete birth certificate, a set of receipts with unfamiliar names, and old medical papers from a city clinic Daniel has never heard of. Each document seems to whisper a secret. Daniel's hands shake as he reads them. Receipts for payment he cannot comprehend. Dates that contradict what he's been told. Notes crumbled in a hand he doesn't recognize. Daniel's mind spins. Why would his mother hide this? Why didn't his father ever question them? He remembers the old woman's word, her eerie sanctity, and feels a cold knot of fear in his chest. Grace notices him, lingering too long, and gently urges him away, masking her panic with a smile. Chief Obiora, busy with his business plans and unaware of any deception, doesn't notice the tension building between mother and son. The hidden box and its documents become Daniel's obsession. Every glance at his mother is now tinged with doubt. In every conversation with his father seems to carry a hidden meaning. The perfect life he had known, a life of admiration, laughter, and love, now feels fragile, like a house built on sand. And so, a storm begins to gather quietly within the walls of their home. A storm that will carry Daniel on a painful journey towards truth, betrayal, and impossible choices. The sun had just begun to dip behind the red-tiled roofs of the town, casting long, restless shadows across the dusty streets. Grace's compound, usually a haven of elegance and calm, now felt strangely heavy. Daniel could not shake the image of the old woman's piercing eyes, or her words echoing in his mind. Blood cannot lie. That boy is not who you think he is. That evening, Daniel found himself lingering by the gates, pretending to check the garden while his mind raced. The neighborhood children ran past, laughing and shouting, but he barely noticed them. Something inside him had shifted. A gnawing suspicion he could no longer ignore. Just as the orange sky turned to dusky purple, a rustle came from the far end of the compound. Daniel's heart skipped. From the shadows emerged a frail figure, the same old woman from weeks ago. Her wrapper was faded and torn, her hair streaked with silver, and her eyes burned with quiet fire. "You are Daniel," she said, her voice barely above a whisper, yet sharp enough to make him shiver. "The truth will find you. Do not ignore it." Daniel stepped back, unsure whether to confront her or run. Before he could speak, Grace appeared behind him, her face pale but controlled. "Madam, please, you shouldn't be here," she said, her hands trembling slightly. She spoke gently to the woman, but there was a sharp edge beneath her calm, a mother desperate to protect a secret. The old woman shook her head. "I do not come to harm, but to warn. Secrets buried in darkness bring storms. That boy, he must know, or his life will be lost to lies." Grace's smile flattered. She motioned for the woman to leave, her voice tighter than before. "Go now, this is my home. You have no business here." curiosity flared. As the old woman slowly disappeared into the shadows, Daniel noticed her drop a small envelope. His fingers trembled as he picked it up. Inside were faded papers, scribbled notes, and a photograph of a hospital he had never heard of. The notes mentioned dates, names, and references to children he didn't recognize. Grace caught sight of the envelope in his hand. Panic flashed across her eyes. She quickly tried to snatch it away, but Daniel held on. For the first time, he saw fear in her, raw and unguarded. That fear told him everything, that the perfect life he believed in was built on a lie. That night, Daniel could not sleep. The documents, the old woman's warning, and the hidden box he had found earlier all collided in his mind. Each piece whispered the same truth. Something in his past had been stolen from him. Grace's secret was alive, and it was now his turn to uncover it. By dawn, Daniel had made a silent vow he would find out everything, no matter how painful, no matter who it hurts. The perfect family, the golden compound, the admiration of the town, none of it mattered. Truth would come first, and nothing could stop him. Later that evening, while helping Grace tidy in the kitchen, he overheard a fragment of a conversation between her and her best friend, Ngozi, who had been helping her for years. Grace's voice was low. Urgent. He must never know Ngozi. If Daniel finds out, it could destroy him. Destroy us. Grace whispered. Daniel froze. He sat her marrying. Destroy us? What are they hiding? For the next few days, Daniel watched Grace closely. Every glance, every small hesitation, every whispered conversation seemed to carry meaning he couldn't fully understand. Neighbors' gossip returned to his mind. The way women at the market whispered behind ends. The way church elders gave subtle nods and knowing smiles. That boy's story is not clean. Then one afternoon, while alone in the study, Daniel's curiosity drove him further. He carefully examined the box of documents he had discovered. Under the floorboard, among the receipts and medical papers, he found a letter addressed to Grace, folded neatly and yellowed with age. The letter spoke of arrangements for a child, dates, payments, and a promise that the child would be raised as ours. Daniel's breath caught in his throat. His mother had bought him. Fear, anger, and confusion battled within him. He wanted to confront Grace immediately, but he hesitated. By the following morning, Daniel had made a silent decision. He would find the truth, no matter how devastating. He would uncover the story that Grace had hidden for so long. The story of a baby factory, a mother's desperate choice, and a life built on secrets. By evening, the tension became unbearable. Daniel found Grace alone, seated. His hands trembled as he stepped forward, clutching the envelope. Mother, he said quietly, trying to keep his voice steady. I found something. Something you've been hiding. Grace froze. Her calm mask flattered. Then, with a soft but firm voice, she replied, Daniel, you don't understand. You shouldn't be looking through my things. Mother, I found letters, receipts, documents. Was it all a lie? Were you? You never really my mother. Grace's hands shook. Her face paled. And for the first time, Daniel saw vulnerability. The kind that comes only from fear, desperation, and guilt. Daniel, she whispered, voice breaking. I never wanted you to find out this way. You were my miracle son. You are my son. I only wanted to protect you. To protect us. Protect me by lying to me all my life. Daniel's voice cracked. A mix of anger, disbelief, and pain. Was my whole life a lie? Grace swallowed hard. I couldn't bear the shame. After years of waiting, after being mocked and whispered about, I did what I thought I had to. I bought you, Daniel, but I raised you as my own. I loved you every single day. Daniel staggered back, clutching the envelope as if it could anchor him to reality. The world he had known, the laughter, the admiration, the pride of being Grace's son, all felt shattered. His mother, the woman he trusted most, had kept the most important secret of his life. Tears brimmed in Daniel's eyes, but beneath the hurt was a rising determination. I need to know everything, mother. No more lies. I need the truth about where I came from and why. Grace's lip trembled. She looked away, her heart heavy with the weight of confession. But she knew the moment had come. The first confrontation had broken the silence, and nothing would ever be the same. Daniel turned away, clutching the documents, feeling the first stirring of a journey he couldn't yet imagine. A journey that would take him through lies, betrayal, and the dark corridors of the baby factory that had shaped his life before he even knew it. The next morning, Daniel awoke before sunrise, the envelope and hidden documents lying on his bedside table. His hands shook as he touched the papers, the proof of a life carefully hidden from him. A life built on secret and impossible choices. He knew one thing for certain. He could no longer remain in the dark. He had to find out where he came from and why. He started by visiting the city clinic mentioned in the documents, where bustling with early morning traders, honking vehicles, and shouting vendors. Daniel's heart pounded as he approached the clinic. A crumbling building tucked between a row of shops and a buzzing market. The faded sign above the door barely legible, but the address matched the papers. Inside, the receptionist frowned at him. "Can I help you?" she asked. "I am looking for records," Daniel began cautiously, "about a baby born or given here many years ago. It's urgent." The receptionist's eyes flicked to the papers he held. "Records like that, you'd have to see Dr. Maduka. But he's not here. Be gone a long time," she muttered. Her words hung in the air like a warning. Daniel refused to leave. He wandered around the clinic, asking nurses and assistants if they remembered anything unusual. Children being brought in under strange circumstances. Women visiting secretly. Odd payments. Whispers followed him. Some nurses exchanged uneasy glances. Others shook their heads. Finally, one woman, old and cautious, beckoned him to a back room. "You're looking for the boy, aren't you?" she said softly. "I don't know everything, but I know what I saw. Babies being moved, sold, families paying money for children. Some never saw them again. It was a terrible place, a baby factory." Daniel's stomach churned. Every word confirmed what his mother had tried to hide. Every hint of horror made his pulse spike. "Do you know anything about a boy named Daniel? A woman named Grace?" he asked, clutching the envelope tightly. The woman hesitated, then nodded slowly. "Yes, I remember her. She was different, worried, afraid. She wanted a child badly. I helped her, but I didn't know what would happen after. I only know she left with the child, and no one questioned her. That was the way of things. Quiet, hidden." Daniel left the clinic with his head spinning. The pieces were beginning to form a picture. A dark, terrifying picture of children stolen, mothers desperate, a secret buried deep. He realized this journey would take him far beyond the walls of his home, far beyond Grace's explanation. As he walked back through the bustling streets, Daniel knew one thing. He was no longer just Grace's son. He was a boy stolen from his birthright, caught between two worlds. The life he knew and the life he had been denied, and the truth, the full horrifying truth, was waiting for him. Daniel could not sleep that night. The images of the crumbling clinic, the anxious nurse, and the hints of a secret world of stolen children haunted him. The envelope in his hand felt heavier than ever. Each piece of paper a weight pressing on his heart. He knew he could not stop until he had uncovered the whole truth. The next day, he returned to the city, following the scraps of information from the nurse. He had given him a single clue, an abandoned house on the outskirts of the city, once used as holding place for children. Its walls were crumbling, the paint peeling, and the windows boarded up, yet Daniel could feel the echoes of pain lingering in the air. Inside, he found remnants of lives forgotten, old cribs, tattered blankets, and scattered toys. Some broken, some still intact. It was silent, except for the faint whisper of wind through the broken windows. And then he saw them, women, sitting quietly in a corner, their faces lined with sorrow, eyes hollow with years of loss. One of them, an older woman named Mama Ifoma, noticed his hesitation. "You're looking for the truth about the children, aren't you?" she asked gently. Her voice carried both fear and hope. "Yes," Daniel said, voice trembling. I need to know about myself, about Grace, about the baby factory." Mama Ifoma's eyes filled with tears. Many years ago, children were taken from mothers who had no choice, women who were desperate. Some paid, some were stolen. They were sold quietly, hidden from the world. I know of a baby boy, taken to a family that claimed him as their own. Grace Obiora, do you see now why the whispers followed you? Daniel's chest tightened. Everything was connecting. The envelope, the documents, The old woman's warning, the clinic, and now this. The faces of women who had suffered in silence. He felt an ache he had never known, not just for himself, but for all those lost, forgotten children. Why didn't anyone stop this? Daniel whispered, anger and despair mingling in his voice. Mama Ifeoma shook her head. Fear of corruption. Shame. The world turns a blind eye when desperate mothers are involved. Some think money can fix everything. Some think silence is safer. But it's never safe. Not really. Daniel clenched his fists. Determination burning in his chest. He realized his journey was far from over. He had the truth, glimpsed in fragments, but needed more. The full story, the hidden hands, and the consequences that had followed. He had to confront Grace. He had to confront the system, and he had to confront himself. As he left the abandoned house, the evening sky above the city glowed red as if echoing the anger and sorrow swelling inside him. Daniel knew one thing with certainty. Nothing could ever make him the same boy again. He was the boy stolen from his birthright. The boy caught between two mothers, and the boy who would never rest until every hidden truth had been brought to light. Daniel returned home that evening. The city's chaos sound fading behind him as he entered the quiet of his family compound. Yet, inside, calm had no place. His mind raced with what he had learned. The abandoned house, Mama Ifeoma, the stolen children, the whispered warnings. And one truth pressed harder than the rest. He needed proof, undeniable proof, linking Grace to the baby factory. The following day, Daniel returned to the abandoned house. This time, he was determined to speak with more of the women who had lived in that hidden world. One woman, Blessing, stood apart. Her hands shook as she held a faded photograph of a baby she had lost. I was forced to give him away, she whispered. They said it was for his future, but I never saw him again. I prayed for him every night, but no one listened. Daniel felt a sharp pang of guilt, as if every stolen child had also stolen a piece of his innocence. He realized the truth was bigger than his family, bigger than Grace's secrets. This was a system, a web of desperation, greed, and silence. Mama Ifeoma placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. Daniel, you are lucky in one way. You were loved by Grace, but not every child was. Not every mother survived the shame, the heartbreak, the silence. Daniel's resolve hardened. He had proof of his own story, but he could not turn away from the stories of the lost. Their voices would guide him, their pain would fuel him, and their courage would shape the choices he would have to make. As he left, the sun setting behind the city skyline painted the streets gold. Daniel knew he had crossed a line. He was no longer just seeking answer for himself. He was carrying the weight of many, and the storm of truth would not wait for anyone. The morning sun filtered weakly through the curtains, but the Obera's house was far from warm. Daniel's revelation the previous night had left a chill in the air. Chief Obera sat in the parlor, sipping his morning tea, unaware of the storm that had erupted between his wife and son. Daniel entered, clutching the folder of documents. His father looked up with a smile, but it faded quickly when he saw the boy's pale face and trembling hands. Dad, Daniel began, his voice steady, but his eyes burning. There's something I must show you. Chief Obera frowned. Setting down his teacup, he took the folder, opened it, and scanned the contents. His hand froze on the photograph. Grace, younger but unmistakable, holding a baby with a forced smile. Beneath it, the damning handwriting. Pick up schedule for May 15, 2005. Chief Obera's face darkened. Grace, he thundered, his voice booming through the house. Grace rushed in from the kitchen, her wrapper tied hastily. Fear etched across her face. She knew the storm had broken. Obera, please, I can explain. Explain? He roared, slamming the folder onto the table. All these years, you let me believe my wife had finally given me a son, a miracle from God, and all this time, you deceived me. You bought a child like stolen goods. Grace fell to her knees, tears streaming down her face. I did it for us. Do you know the ridicule? The whispers? I couldn't stand it anymore. When my friend told me about the place, I thought it was a blessing. I thought I was saving us both from shame. But Obera's eyes burned with betrayal. Shame? You have brought me a bigger shame. Do you know what this means? My name, my reputation, built on a lie. Do you know what this will do if the town hears? Daniel watched the two people he loved most crumbled before him. His father's pride clashed with his mother's desperation, and he stood in the middle. Broken, for the first time he realized the truth was no longer just his burden, it was theirs, and it threatened to tear their family apart. The opera compound, once a place of laughter and prestige, now carried the heavy silence of betrayal. Servants whispered in corners, sensing the unrest, but too afraid to ask questions. That evening, Daniel sat alone in his room, staring at the photograph. His mother's face haunted him. The woman who had held him tightly wiped his tears and prayed for his future, now revealed as the architect of his pain. A soft knock came at his door. It was Grace. Her face was swollen from crying, her eyes pleading. She stepped inside slowly, as though afraid of being chased away. "Daniel, my son," she whispered, "I know you are hurt. I know what I did was wrong. But you must understand, I never saw you as anything less than mine. From the day I brought you home, you were my heart, my everything." Daniel's lips trembled, but anger flared. "Then why hide it? Why let me believe a lie? You should have trusted me with the truth." Grace knelt by his bed, clutching his hand. "Because I fear losing you. I fear losing everything. People will never let you live it down if they knew. I wanted you to grow with pride, not with the stain of gossip." But Daniel pulled his hands away, his voice cracking. "Mother, you didn't protect me. You trapped me in a lie, and now I don't know who I really am." Their voices carried through the tin walls, reaching Chief Obera, who sat alone in his study, his pride wounded, his trust shattered. He stared blankly at the wall, muttering, "What will people say when this comes out? How do I face the world?" The cracks in Obera's family had widened, and for Daniel, the search for identity was no longer just about proof. It was about finding where he truly belonged. The Obera compound no longer felt like home. Meals were eaten in silence. Conversation reduced to cold exchanges. Daniel withdrew from both his parents, haunted by the document he had uncovered. Yet, amid the hurt, one question echoed in his mind. If Grace wasn't my birth mother, then who was? One afternoon, while helping his father sort old papers in the study, Daniel stumbled on another clue. Hidden between faded land documents was a receipt, bearing the letterhead of a private clinic in the city. The date matched the year of his birth, as the bottom was a name, hastily scribbled, almost illegible, but one word was clear: Ifoma. Daniel's arrest. The name was familiar. Mama Ifoma had mentioned something about women crying for their stolen babies. Could this be the missing link? Thank you for watching this video. The real battle has just begun. If you want the part 2, leave a comment on the comment section. Thank you. Bye.